Welcome to the RePsychled podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is informative, down to earth, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up your volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to session 72, Roots Run Deep.
Y'all should have heard us trying to say this.
I don't know why we keep doing this to ourselves. No, I got a speech impediment.
Okay, so as you guys know, this is a continuation to attachment, but this time we're going to talk about adult attachment. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to switch it up. You know, I like to switch it up. So my questions are going to be to the interns, not to you ladies, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so interns, have you noticed repeating patterns in your love life? Have you wondered why you keep ending up in the same situation, even with different partners? Mm-hmm. We want to hear your comments. My second one. Do you get too clingy or jealous? Or do you always seem to be more involved than your partner? Maybe you want to be with someone, but as soon as things get emotionally intimate, you back off. So those are questions to ask yourself, because you might want to think about, depending on your answer, you may want to think about what your attachment style is.
Because like we were saying in the childhood session, this stuff carries over into adulthood. Mm-hmm. So that stuff, that insecure attachment you had as a kid, is going to show up when you start getting ready to, combine your life with somebody else. And what's probably going to happen is y'all going to be triggering each other's attachment styles back and forth.
Yes, yes, and yes.
I've had plenty of couples. I'm like, y'all know y'all just triggering each other's attachment style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they're like, what you mean? Well, you have an anxious attachment and you have a disorganized attachment. And because you have a disorganized one, the anxious one is over here like freaking out because they're like, oh my God,
you're gonna leave. You're gonna leave. You're gonna leave.
And the disorganized person is just like, well, no, yes, maybe. Oh, wait, yes, no, yes,
everything
no,
is
yes.
great. Everything is great. Everything, I'm fine. Everything is so good. And then tomorrow's like, I think we need to break up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So if you can't tell, it get real on and popping in the adult attachment area.
Oh yes, it does.
All right.
So just to give you a small little recap of what attachment is, it's basically just the relationships that you develop, starting with the foundation that's set for you in childhood. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So adult attachment.
So y'all want to start with anxious and so we're going to say both of the attachment styles. So in childhood, it's anxious, but in adulthood, it's preoccupied.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
All right.
So when I think about a preoccupied attachment style, so this is somebody that's going to be like obsessed with relationships.
That is the word I was thinking about.
Obsessed.
Yes. That's a little manic.
They're obsessed with relationships. They're obsessed in being in a relationship. They may be like overly attached and clingy with their partner.
They do the most.
Yeah, this would be leading into like dependent personality. Like I can't make decisions without you. And when we say decisions, we're not talking about like what to eat for dinner. Mm-hmm. Like we talking about like, should I go to school? Should I work? What should I wear?
What should I major in?
Who should my friends be? Mm-hmm. Like we're talking life decisions.
What do you think I should do with my life? And it is your life. You can't be dependent on other people to make those choices for you. You can definitely get insight from other people to help you look at the bigger picture. But if you're looking at everything from someone else's viewpoint, it's not going to work out well for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the part of the reason why this person is like that is because they have a negative self-image and they seek approval, support, and responses from other people or from their partner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think this is one that can be I think they're all difficult, the insecure ones.
Mm-hmm.
But this one right here it's smothering.
Yeah, because they think that their partner is not invested in the relationship like they are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So for this one, this person will tend to feel alone because they overinvest versus some of the other attachment styles may end up being alone because of the underinvestment or the inconsistent investment. But for the preoccupied, because you're just, this other person or these other individuals, because like this doesn't necessarily just mean romantic. This could be your friends. Like you're overly involved in your friends' relationships. Like you want to know everything that they doing and what y'all went and where y'all will. Okay, well tell me who was there, and you want to insert yourself in their decision making and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and about 19% of people in this particular category exist in the world. So just a heads up. This is not one of the main ones, but this is the one where you done got on my last nerve. You clingy. You're doing too much.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is they do so much because they have a fear of abandonment. And the attention, the care, or rejection. But the attention, the responsiveness, and the care that their partner gives them, it soothes their anxiety. But they're
temporarily.
Yes. Because then they hype it up again. As soon as something look off, as soon as they don't answer the text quick enough, it's like, oh my God, they're gone. We broke up. And like they done created this whole dialogue in their head of something being wrong.
Yeah. It's a constant need for validation.
Absolutely.
This relationship can be very overwhelming.
It's giving me anxiety just thinking about being in a relationship with somebody like this.
I know my heart started beating faster.
My heart started beating faster.
It's a lot.
This is not my fave.
Yeah,
to be in a relationship, a romantic relationship.
Oh yeah, I could have a client like this. We would be working on stuff, but like somebody in my personal life, yes, this would be very overwhelming. Just because of the intensity. Because when we get stressed, the way we react to the world intensifies. So if the preoccupied person is under some sort of distress, they believe the relationship is ending, or they have work stress and they think they're about to lose their job, or whatever it is, it's going to kick this insecure attachment style into high gear, and they're going to be way over the top clingy, way over the top investing, or wanting to receive whatever it is they think they need. Yeah, it's just going to be too much. And
it's a difference between needing attention from your partner every now and again, and this, because there are times like, I mean, women sometimes, that monthly time that is all different. So sometimes you may feel needy. You may need more attention from your partner or your friends or whatever. And as long as you can communicate that, that's okay. However, it's when it's consistent.
All day, every day.
Yeah, when it becomes unhealthy. So don't think that just because you need some attention sometimes, because we all do. We all need attention, and we all need our partner. We all need validation at times. But it's the consistency all the time that is when it becomes unhealthy.
I think we all have known somebody like this. Even if we weren't in a relationship with them, we may have been acquaintances with somebody that was like this, or have seen family members that are like this. It's hard to watch.
It is. Yes. It's hard to watch. Spiral, and it's a train wreck, really.
Especially when you watch your friends, like, oh my God, they called you again. And you try not to say nothing because it's like, that's their relationship, but it's like, oh my God, you got 30 texts in 2 seconds.
You often see this in a lot of your friends who tend to be territorial. It just comes off a little bit smoother than if you were in a romantic relationship with them, but it can still get intense.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. This is relationships, not just romantic.
Yeah.
Like this can happen in any dynamic. This can be parental. You know, we talked a little bit last session about helicopter parents. Or mama's. This could be like the mama's boy or the daddy's girl. Y'all ever seen that show? I Love a Mama's Boy.
I've heard of it, but I don't know if I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen snippets of it, like on Facebook when they do their advertisements.
Oh, I think I had. Yeah.
But this would be like the parent is preoccupied. They have an insecure attachment, and they are preoccupied with their child.
Yeah.
So again, this is just not romantic. This can show up in a variety of ways.
All right. So I want to go to avoidant dismissive.
Sure.
So the dismissive person, they are perceived to be like lone wolves. They seem to be strong, independent, and self-sufficient. So, but it's not necessarily like physical strong and things like that. It's like the emotional
Stoic.
level. Yeah. So these people can look like they might be secure. Because they seem to be independent. They got, they do their thing. But
they are emotionally unavailable. Now I have dated this person. Many. This person.
In the past, I've definitely dated plenty of dismissively attached people. But I agree. They can give off a vibe of like, oh, you got it together. Which, when they go behind closed doors, you don't know what in the world they do or don't have together. But outwardly, you never know it.
No. They tend to be about 25% of the adults in the world.
Okay.
That's a nice chunk.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
That's a nice chunk. So we all just out here not wanting to
be in a relationship.
But saying we want to be in relationships.
What I've noticed, having dated a lot of individuals, and I tend to date Black men, and we're not going to go into that. Go check out one of our previous episodes that goes into the reasons why it's hard for people of color to attach and be secure in the world that they grow up in. But they tend to feel like they can't get close to anybody. It's not acceptable. Often they tend to feel suffocated when they are given true love, and so they avoid it. They run from it.
Yeah, they don't want to depend on others. Like you were saying, like they don't feel like they have others to depend to that they can depend on, and they don't want people to depend on them either.
No, only what they deem acceptable for short periods of time.
Yeah. The other thing I think about dismissive, and you guys will hear more about this in the Shrink Wrapped, which is our next session after this one with Dr. Leach. But I tend to fall more in the dismissive category. And like I've said in previous sessions, it's not that a lack of desire. It's really a lack of it even entering into my mind as something to do. So you become dismissive, not because I don't want you or I don't believe I need you. It's like it literally just doesn't even enter into your brain that you have a relationship that needs to be fostered. Yeah. Because you're so ingrained in what you do. You know what I'm saying? And not in a like, I'm better than or I'm selfish kind of way. Like it really is an absenteeism kind of,
the world is singular.
Yeah.
And that's not, it's when we're talking about attachment in terms, I don't want y'all to feel like you need to completely become a different person. You need to be aware of what is faulty in your ability to be healthy. Yeah. So if you are a singular person, that's fine, but you know that you love and care for people outside of yourself. So how do you show up for them in a way that is healthy for you and also gives them whatever relationship nourishment that they need?
Yeah, and I think that goes into what we were saying in the previous one on how you can have an insecure, but if you are making steps and strides, you can move and operate like a secure person, but your natural default is going to be your insecure style. But because you learned through therapy or through getting information from other relationships, you've learned how to move more securely in the world.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I also think you have to be mindful of your upbringing. You are military brat.
Yeah.
So I think that plays a part in that too.
Oh, for sure. I agree with and that kind of speaks to the childhood part. You know, like how your family unit may create one set of attachment, but your environment may foster a different set. So then you kind of have this mishmash of two different things going on. But because you have those two things, you can move a little bit differently than someone that's solely in just one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, y'all are here. My attachment style is avoidant as well. But it wasn't military. My parents are artists, singers, and so they traveled a lot. So although my older brother was there for me to develop attachment to, and my godparents were there for me to develop attachment to, my parents were in and out. I have an attachment to them, but they were still in and out, and they would be sometimes gone for, as a child, it seemed like months. But I mean, as an adult, it probably was a week. I don't know. Right. But it felt that way. So, you know, of course, having that type of lifestyle, you know, to not have your parents have to come all the way back from another country just to discipline you. You know, you try to do what you need to do so you don't get in big trouble, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So you become independent. You become trouble. Yeah, right.
Absolutely. You know, and I think the dismissive type, so for some people gets the like unloving rap. That these people are unloving.
But they're not.
Right.
They are very loving, actually. They're big marshmallows on the inside.
Absolutely, are a lot. Yeah. But I think because of the outside, the stoicism, that kind of stuff outside, it can look one way.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I think I would consider myself to be a very loving person. But I think those are things that I've also learned because I found myself doing traveling like my parents. Because like I've been in a lot of states. So you know, I've now settled in Texas. But I'm telling you, I've told y'all before, if I didn't have what I have in Texas, I'd probably been gone when the pandemic hit. Yeah. I'd probably be in a different country.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And if you can't tell, we all kind of have avoidant in our attachment story. So you do have to work very hard to be present in the relationships that you are choosing to have. And you do need to make sure that you choose them. Yeah. Because you can't just have random people in your life as someone that battles avoidant attachment. It'll be overwhelming.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So the next one is disorganized / fearful avoidant. And this type tends to show up as unstable and ambiguous behaviors, especially in their social bonds, rather. Yeah. Let's see how to describe this person.
Afraid of relationships. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I can say. You know, this person is afraid to attach. I think they can be confused with dismissive, because of the lack of attachment that seems apparent. Yeah. But their base for the reason that seems that way is very different. Theirs is based in fear versus dismissive is based in like,
take it or leave it.
Yeah.
They're in a constant state of limbo because they combine anxious and avoidant technically. And there's this need to avoid anything at all costs, but there's this deep innate craving for it. And so you have to talk yourself through those thoughts and those feelings in order to figure out what the correct path is to get to a more secure relationship.
Absolutely.
And when you go and listen to the first attachment, you'll hear Dr. Strickland talking about trust versus mistrust. And this is a big portion of this fearful avoidant style, because they have trouble trusting and depending on others, which makes them fearful of developing those relationships.
Yeah. Now, what I will say about this one, like we were talking about in the previous session, this is one of the newer ones. And with anything in the sciences, it is very difficult to deep dive into everything associated with something the newer a topic is. And so this one is extremely rare. And there's not a lot of research on it as far as, your percentages and statistics. But what we do know about this particular one is that they tend to have a lot of risky behaviors, heightened sexual behavior, increased violence in their relationships, and difficulty regulating emotions. But because it's such a topsy-turvy, insecure attachment, that makes complete sense, because you just never know which version. It's kind of like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde of the attachment styles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which can make it hard for others to attach to them.
Yes.
They already have a difficult time attaching to others, but others are going to also in turn have a hard time creating relationships with them, because it creates the same thing in the other person, because they don't know how to respond or how you're going to act. So then they become anxious about being with you.
Yeah. And it becomes difficult because you don't know what you're going to get. At one moment it's like, oh, everything is great. The next moment it's like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah. In a split of an eye, in a blink of an eye, so this one I would say is probably one of the, out of the four, going to be the most difficult. If I had to rank order them on difficulty to be with, they would be first.
Because I think because they fear relationships, they become possessive to make sure that the relationship doesn't go anywhere, but then they don't know if they want the relationship, so it's like, go. No, come back. No, I hate you, come back.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would agree with what Dr. Strickland said. I would probably say, as far as difficulty managing the bond, I would say fearful is top, then preoccupied, and then dismissive. Secure is always going to be the healthiest. It's not always going to be the easiest, but it will be the healthiest.
Right. And I say that because for fearful and preoccupied, the difficulty that it places me in when I think about it is it creates insecurity in the partner, not the individual. So like individual A is a person with these insecure attachment, right? But it creates an insecurity in person B, because they don't know the best way to respond to person A, who's giving the insecurity.
You're on your toes.
So, and then with dismissive, I think it creates a different type of insecurity in person B. Like, am I good enough?
You right to your head, because that was exactly what I was getting ready to say.
And ironically, you often see dismissive and preoccupied in relationships. Quite often. And so they will
cleave together. It's like magnets. Because for some reason, we've talked about this in previous sessions before, for some reason people love emotionally unavailable people. It's just like I don't know why. People just love emotionally unavailable.
It's the chase.
I can fix you.
I mean, I can't. Chase. It's the chase of trying to fix you, but also chasing you to be with you. Like, I don't know why people, everybody likes to be chased. Everybody likes to chase, but stop it at some point.
And I think some people think because you are in my sight that I am supposed to be with you, versus, hey, I met you. Let me see if we're compatible. We're not bi. Like, people have a difficulty, but well, this is the next person. So this has to be my person. And I'm like, who told you this bad logic?
Yes.
But see, to add on to that, I think my issue is when people think that everybody that they meet is supposed to be their husband or wife. Like, no, some people are just supposed to be your homie.
Or nothing.
A homegirl or yes.
Yeah, all of that. Absolutely. And that's okay.
Yes. Yes.
If we took better time to consider those options, there would probably be a lot less marriages in these streets.
Because some people will realize that you were just supposed to be my friend or nothing, like Dr. Wall said.
Which that goes back to one of our sessions we talked before about categorizing your relationships.
Yep.
I think it's something about tribe. Well, I'm forgetting the title to that particular session. It'll be in the show notes, guys. But I do think that if we go and categorize people much, I hate to use the word better, but I don't know what else to say right now. But if we categorize people in the area that they're appropriately to be in, like, oh, this person is just my coworker friend, or this is just my brunch friend, or this is just my auntie that I catch up with every 4-5 months, and we talk for an hour and then we don't speak again for 4-5 months.
Right. Yeah.
It keeps me from
expecting something more.
Yeah. So then when they're not there for me, I don't hold them responsible to that, because they weren't going to be there for me because that's just my brunch friend.
Exactly. You have to put people in the correct categories, but you also have to realize everybody can't fit in the same spot. And a lot of times we expect people to all be the same. And the reality is that's not possible in any world we live in. You know? As
Dr. Strickland likes to explain it, everybody has a different access code. No two people have the same one.
Nope. Nope. Even if they're both childhood friends, you know, how they can reach you and what they can get from you is going to be different.
Yeah. And if it's different, that doesn't mean that either person is less than. We have to stop making this correlation with, if I do this with this person, but I don't do this with this person, then that somehow means that this person is not as good. And that is not this. We're not as close. Yeah, we get different things from different people. Relax. It's okay.
Yeah, and because that's how a lot of friends end their relationships that probably should not have ended. But you ended it because Dr. Wall did something with Dr. Jones-Hines and then do something with Dr. Strickland. So Dr. Strickland started thinking, oh, well, we must not be as close as Dr. Jones-Hines and Dr. Wall is. So then, all right, cool, fine. I ain't dealing with it no more.
Right.
When it has nothing to do with that. Dr. Wall just know that Dr. Jones-Hines loved to dance, so we went dancing.
Exactly. And that's it. Not making it more than what it is.
Right.
So this is one of the reasons we really want to do the look at adult attachment, because while we can talk about childhood so you get an understanding of like what it is, but you will be an adult much longer than you were ever a child. So the stuff that happened then, you're going to experience it and live this way much longer than you did as a child. So when you think about, you know, creating a life with people, whether that's romantically or platonically, you know, how is this showing up for you?
Yeah.
I'll say one of the things that I know we work on a lot is the correlation between parental relationships and then how you allow romantic relationships to show up. And, you know, layman's terms, daddy issues, mommy issues. You tend to date the person who is closely related to the parent that probably has hurt you the most. And it doesn't mean that they had to be out here knocking your head up against the wall and into the corner.
Right.
But it can be similar. Like if I use myself as an example, I tend to date emotionally unavailable men because my father is emotionally unavailable. That's just the nature of my dynamic. And so I have to make a conscious effort to be like, I don't need to rescue no jokers today. Let me find somebody that has a secure attachment. And that's something you have to constantly work on. I don't need to train up a man. Like, that's not what you need to do, but you will find yourself repeating these patterns, like Dr. Jones-Hines said when she asked the questions in the beginning of this session. Are you finding yourself doing the same patterns? If you are, okay, does that pattern work for you? Now, if it worked for you, keep doing it.
Right.
But if it honestly doesn't, make some changes and do something different.
Yeah. Like, do you have a solid idea on where that pattern came from? You know.
And do you recognize your pattern?
That part.
Because sometimes y'all don't realize that y'all dating the same person with a different name.
And face.
And face.
Absolutely. I think this is why it's important to heal some of those, you know, developmental issues. We don't think of it in those terms, you know, kind of socially, but it really is going back. I mean, it's on some Freudian stuff, you know. People, this is the stuff that people think therapy is, you know, when you got to go back and look at some of that childhood stuff and how did that affect me? What was the result? You know, how is this showing up for me today? You know, we've talked about this is not just with romantic, but me and my coworkers. Do I take on more at the job than everybody else because I believe that, you know, I'm like nobody else got it but me.
Shout out to the Preoccupieds.
Right. Or, you know, the person that becomes the mother at the office, you know, because they were not mothered and, you know, given nurturance when they were younger. So they rebounded and went the completely opposite way. So now they're overly nurturing to everyone else around them as a way to kind of feed that need for themselves.
Yeah. Whatever you are doing, it is because there is something within you. You know, we can definitely have a whole deep dive into the inner child thing, but we're not going to, because that has a lot to do with what is unhealed within you. And there comes a point in your adulthood where you need to let your inner child not lead and not be the person that's directing you across your adult lifespan. It's time for the big you. Like Nene got to go lay down and Michelle need to come take over.
Right. Yeah. I like it.
It's so much going on in the world right now, and we could all use some extra support. At Balanced Beacon, we offer counseling services for individuals, couples, families, and groups. If you're in Texas, give us a call at 214-396-6503 or visit our website at www.balancedbeacon.com for more information.
You already, I probably know what the fourth attachment style is, and that's the secure attachment. We had already kind of talked about that one, so that's kind of why we have lingered on the others. But secure attachment, again, is just you being able to be an honest person, tolerant, emotional stability. You can create emotional closeness. You're loving. You are able to be loved. You're trusting. You can trust others. So that's kind of what secure attachment is.
And that particular percentage is roughly about 56%.
So
it's one of the higher ones, and will stay high as long as we're actively getting what we need, but also working on the things that we need to do for self.
Absolutely. This one puts me in the mind of it's all about the two-way. Whereas the more insecures are a lot of one-way. But secure is me giving to you and knowing what I need to receive from you.
Yeah.
You know? So
mutually beneficial. Reciprocal.
Yes.
It's not as difficult as some may think it is. You know, it sounds like, oh man, you got to do all that to have a secure attachment. Like, again, this is not about perfection. So when we say secure attachment, this is not about meaning leave it to Beaver. You know, I know that's a very old reference, but extremely old, even before our time, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think of that, like a family like that, where everything is just always going so well, everything works out in the end, and it's like, no, that's not what secure attachment means. It doesn't mean everything works out in the end. It just means, like we said, there's a mutually beneficial nature to the relationship.
Yeah. Now, let me say this for all the interns who are listening and believe that they have secure attachment. If you feel a need to control and take away the freedom of the people that you are in relationship with, that's not secure attachment. Because often we'll get people in sessions, it's like, yeah, I'm secure in this, I'm secure in that, but you look up and this person can't do this person can't do that, I'm offended when they do this. Ma'am, sir, you need a different group of people that you need to be around, or you need to work on yourself, because in relationships there is freedom, and some things are going to work for you and some things are not going to work for you. Those things that don't work for you, maybe you need to put that person in a different spot and work on yourself.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah. And so just to add on one more little thing, last session we did say that we were going to give you some ways to work on, your attachment and everything. We gave you one, look at your history. Another one is to work on your self-esteem. Learn how to love on yourself. Learn how to love others how they need to be loved. Learn how to ask for what it is that you need. Ask for, and learn how to set boundaries so that you don't get what you don't need or don't want.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to therapy.
Yes.
Please and thank you.
Stop struggling because you don't want to utilize resources.
Find a therapist that you connect with and is proficient in dealing with the issue that you're presenting with, and you will be amazed at some of the changes that you can make. Okay. Anything else we're going to add on? We know this is a short, sweet, to the point one today, guys.
Yeah. What I will say is for people interested in reading a book that's kind of to the point, Attached by Amir Levine is a very good book to read. It has even a little questionnaire in there to see where your attachment falls, and it'll utilize the attachment names that we used in the previous session. But that is a good book. It does deal mostly with romantic relationships, but it can be applied across the board, and it's an easy read.
Okay. So we always end off with a quote.
The quote is anonymous, and it reads, "The relationship a child has with his or her family is the blueprint for all future relationships."
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at the RePsychled podcast. If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.